Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gambling Goals. I'm your host, Mitch Carr. You can find me on Twitter at MitchCarrTV. The guest of honor, as always, is Prospector Sam. You can find him on Twitter at Prospector_Sam. You can also find all of his picks and some really creative and funny writing at dimers.com. And Sam, we are into the knockout stages of Euro 2020. The fact that Germany had to kind of luck out on a draw with Hungary and was this close to being eliminated, and that's your pick to win the tournament. Would you like to change your mind?
Do I feel good about it? No. Am I going to change my mind? No.
Listen, he's a prospector. He bangs on rocks all day. He's bound to be stubborn. All right, folks? On Saturday, the second game of the knockout stage is going to be Italy and Austria. And Italy's kind of the darling of this tournament right now. They haven't allowed a goal so far. They've only allowed 2 shots on target. And they're going to be taking on Austria, who was the runner-up in their group.
This Italy team, I think, is really, like you said, is a defensive strong point. They're really doing a great job of keeping teams off the score sheet. I really see this game being a lower scoring one, both between the matchup and the style of play you get from these two teams. Under 2.5 is -138. I think that's it's pretty good money for what you're getting. I think that money is good for the under 2.5.
Next up is one of the best matchups in the first knockout round that is full of really good matchups. And this is the defending Euro 2016 champions in Portugal versus Belgium, who, in my opinion, is right up there with France as a favorite right now, given what they did in their group stage.
This Belgian team looked fantastic in their group stage. They walked away with their group B, without really any trouble at all. On the other side, while Portugal did play in the toughest group, they really didn't look all that great. They basically got gifted, 2 penalties and one not against France in the last matchup to even scrape by with 4 points. These two teams are still going to be fairly good, but Belgium is, plus 145 at the money line for a team that won all 3 games in the group stage. I think that's great money for the value. Remember, that is only for regulation time, so it's not counting the if we get to extra time or penalties. But I think they handled this one in regulation.
And there is a concern in picking that money line, because you could certainly see a team like Portugal going into a shell and not really doing much offensively and just sort of holding on for some sort of extra time winner or potentially even penalty kicks, because we know they can convert those.
Yeah, I think that's a concern, but at the same time, the Portuguese, their strength just isn't on the defensive end. It really hasn't been all tournament. They held out a Hungarian team, which isn't saying a ton. But they gave up 4 to Germany, 2 probably could have been more to France. I really just don't feel that great about them trying to hold on defensively. I think this turns into a little bit more of a shooting match, and I think Belgium walks away with this one.
I am really licking my chops over your next pick, Croatia and Spain.
I don't know that I necessarily like Croatia to win this game in regulation, but I think that they have enough, especially with the experience they have coming off of that World Cup title run, to take this game against a Spanish team that just doesn't look like they're ready for this moment yet.
And that's really good value at plus 290, somewhere between plus 250 and plus 290, depending on where and when you get it. But that's a lot of good value for a team that clearly still has some gas left in the tank, despite some of their players being up there in age.
This matchup is closer to a toss-up for me, I think. Either of these teams I could see walking away with this, and to get plus 290, the Spanish odds are still just stacked on kind of name recognition and kind of what the media thinks is going to happen, but nothing about what you've watched out of these two teams tells you that the Spanish team is 3 times as good as the Croatian team or whatever it is that the odds are going to reflect. So I think this is just good value to be taken as well.
Well, there is nothing about name recognition and reputational value for the final match that you're going to pick. In fact, it's a match that a lot of people are probably going to ignore and or be confused about which team is which on the field, because their flags have the same colors. I am talking, of course, about Ukraine and Sweden. What do you have there?
Yeah, I'm not sure I necessarily want to conflate Ukraine and Sweden, because they're a little bit different, I'll say, at the very least.
There's a lot of fair-skinned blonde guys out there. They're wearing blue and yellow. I get confused.
That's true. That's maybe we just see a nice peaceful game of happy friendship. They sit down and just kind of roast some campfire s'mores or something.
And they plot how to retake the Crimean Peninsula.
Well, I guess Ukraine won the battle for Crimea barely. It wasn't really a convincing effort, but they moved on. So,
well, you got to watch out, because the Russians are currently firing missiles at vessels that drive too close to it. So, yes, on the soccer pitch, yes, but actually in the ocean or in the sea there, no.
These two teams are actually fairly high scoring in this tournament. It sets up to be a little bit higher scoring, in my opinion, with two teams that are they're really succeeding on the offensive end as far as they are succeeding. Which means that for over 2.5 at plus 140 to get a 1.4 to 1 payout, I think is great money for the value. I think this game ends up being a little bit more of a shootout. I think you could see even some early goals in this game as both kind of try to set the tone, win this game, and kind of pull away early. And I think the over 2.5 is fairly comfortable here actually for the money you're getting.
Setting the Crimean Peninsula aside for now, because I'm sure we'll come back to it on this soccer gambling podcast. Relating those picks back to you, we have Sweden and Ukraine. He likes over 2.5 goals. That's at plus 140 right now. We've got Croatia to qualify. They're playing Spain, so just all they have to do is win the match at any time, whether it be in extra time or in penalties. Them to advance is somewhere between plus 250 and plus 290, so great value there. He likes the Belgium money line. He likes the Belgians to beat Portugal. That is at plus 145. And that would mean that we would have a new European champion because, of course, Portugal are the defending European champions. So that would be exciting on that regard. And finally, the first pick he gave us is Italy and Austria. He likes under 2.5 goals there. That one is at minus 140 right now, a low-scoring affair. I think you like Italy to advance in that one, though, right?
I think that's fairly likely, but at two, it's about minus 230, minus 240. It's a little bit too low value for me to start throwing money on. Maybe if you're looking to parlay or to maybe scrape away a little bit of a small profit, that's probably a good bet too. But it's not valuable enough for me to be thrown out here.
Prospector Sam right now is about 500 for us as far as the picks that he's given to gambling goals, but you can read more of his picks at dimers.com. You can also watch some of our past episodes, and you can click subscribe to watch more of the future episodes. I'm your host, Mitch Carr. You can find me on Twitter at MitchCarrTV, and he is Prospector Sam. You can find him on Twitter at Prospector Sam. Thank you for watching, everybody.